Hey everybody, welcome to GMG Review. Today we're taking a look at Warhammer the Old World, the High Elf Realms, the latest Arcane journal from Games Workshop that was sent along as a complimentary review copy and is accompanied by some kits. We have the Illyrian Reavers and Ishaya Vess, the new, well, maybe not even new because there's been some previews of the High Elves going around online, and some rumors that these were either unreleased miniatures or retools of the Island of Blood 8th edition starter set. I can confirm that I think the Swordmasters might be a retool, which is to say those old classic push fit miniatures retouched because the command models are the same with like banner and head swaps. But these Illyrian Reavers sure look like they're either an unreleased, and I would say probably unreleased because the style of sculpting is very 8th edition here, and then retooled with bigger bases miniature that's finally coming out because the digital files for this would have existed back in 8th edition. Now, these guys have a ton of different options, and you can see here the style of these is more like 8th edition miniatures where the arms, legs, torsos, heads are all fully posable, which leads me to believe these are older designs kind of coming out of the archive and getting put together. They're accompanied with 30mm bases, and they're really quite nice. Ishaya Vess is in Forge World Hard resin. It's kind of a harder edge resin than the Siocast of yesteryear, but it's still done, it looks like in a spin mold, like a high ejection resin, and a high speed injection resin. And is the newer, like, it looks like, again, it's like an unreleased kit from back in the day that might have been Siocast. The original core helmet miniature, and there's also a Chracian champion, a like Lion Guard character that's available as a new unit option. Now these guys, as you can see, they have a variety. I think there's probably 6 frames. You get two of the same set of 3 frames folded up in this box set, and tons of little gizmos, weapon options, arms, legs, bows, and you can use the extra bits that come in this kit for the ship's crew, which is a new unit type, as well as potentially the Lion units that come in here as well, the Woodsman, the Chracian Woodsman. So let's dive into the list itself. There's 2 armies of infamy in here, which are going to be the Chracian Warhost and the Seaguard Garrison. And they're pretty neat. Again, if you've not played with one of these books before, you do need to have a copy of Forces of Fantasy, and it will refer to this book quite a bit. It's not a standalone sort of like add-on, and you're going to be referencing between the 2 books quite often for things like Chracian Great Axes and Lion Cloaks and bits and pieces like that. Nothing for the Army of Safri in here, although it is referenced. Although they do get that new or maybe retooled kit for the Swordmasters of Hoeth. And you can see some pictures of it in here as well. It does look like the new Swordmasters might not have been done for the photography for the book, because that is the original banner, champion, and hornblower in there. But you do get to see these new Illyrian Reavers. Here's our cast of characters. So there's the High Elf Noble from the realm of Chrace, right? The Woodsman. There's Ishaya Vess, and then there's Corhill, who looks a lot like Triple H, Hunter Holmes Helmsley. And I will therefore refer to him as that from now on. It's the Triple H elf. You have to watch wrestling. All right, so let's talk about the Chracian Warhost. And what's worked for me in the past doing this is typically that I flip back and forth between the army special rules and stuff like that in the units, and we'll kind of do a serpentine method back and forth. So for composition, you get a Prince or Archmage per 1,000 points, and then you get a Chracian Chieftain or War Storm Weaver. The Chieftain is like a hero level White Lion. He has the same stats as the Lion Guard, which is like the advanced White Lions, and 3 wounds. So weapon skill 6, plus skill 4, strength 4, toughness 3 because he's an elf. 3 wounds, initiative 5. He's got a hand weapon and heavy armor. And he can have an additional hand weapon, a Chracian Great Blade, which is the +2 strength, -3 AP, 2 hands, strikes last. And he can have a Chieftain's Chariot, which is a Lion Chariot that a character can go on for 105 points. So it's basically just a White Lion Chariot without the crew, and you can take that as your upgrade. He's got Furious Charge, Ithilmore weapons, Lion Cloak, Move Through Cover, Strike First, Stubborn, and Valor of the Ages. He can have 75 points for the magic items as well. And then the Storm Weaver, he can be 1, 2, or 3 level as his magic level. 2 wounds, he's like a hero level, 85 points. And he can have Dark Magic, Elementalism, or Illusion, Michael. 35 points, he can be put on a Unicorn for +1 wound. Gives him strength 4 attacks. It's got Armor Bane 2 for the Unicorn, Armored Hide, Beguiling Aura, countercharge, magic attacks, stomp attacks, and swift stride. And Beguiling Aura means enemy models have to make a leadership test or only hit on 6s, which is pretty cool. And then Wandering Mages, you can take a Storm Reaver per 1,000 points as a character choice in your regular High Elf army, which is kind of cool. Then you've also got High Elf Nobles as a unit choice for the characters. And then 33% of your army has to be either Elf Spearmen, Elf Archers, Chracian Woodsmen, and up to 1 unit of White Lions per 1,000 points. Now, the Chracian Woodsmen are a little bit like the Sea Guard, except for High Elves, where they have sort of a standard Elf stat line. 4 across the board. They can take a champion with an extra attack. They have Chracian Great Blades and light armor, but they can also have Warbows for a point and upgrade their armor to heavy armor. 1 unit can also take they can all have the Lion Cloak special rule, which means they can end up with 4+ armor. So a pretty heavy hitting unit. And then they can have Vanguard replaced with Scouts or Ambushers, free for Scouts, a point for Ambushers. And then they have Elven Reflexes, move through cover, Skirmishers, Devour the Edges, and Vanguard. The recommendation for miniatures is use your White Lions, but then add like Bear Heads, extra bows from your Bowman units to make those guys. For special, you get Lions of Chrace, Lions Chariots of Chrace, and a unit of War Lions per 1,000 points. And War Lions are exactly what they sound like. It's use the extra lions off of your Tyrannok chariots and then just mount them on 30 mil bases. They don't get the Armor Bane. They have Cleaving Blow, Fear, Move Through Cover, Open Order, Swift Stride, and Vanguard. The same stat line as the ones pulling the chariots, so a single wound with weapon skill 5. But they do have Cleaving Blow. If you roll 6 to hit when you make a wound roll, anything that's either regular infantry, heavy infantry, light cavalry, heavy cavalry, or war beast don't get any saves or regeneration against them. So pretty heavy hitting. You have 2 to 6 of them in a unit. And I think they're, 18 points? So, it's a cool way to get use out of your bits, basically. And that's kind of what these armies are. Like they're like a conversion-friendly army for the additional stuff that comes in your kits. And then 33 can be spent on rare. So a unit of Lion Guard, a unit of Shadow Warriors per 1,000 points, up to 2 units of Great Eagles, and a Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower for 1,000 points. And those Lion Guard are, as I said before, they're like all heroes. So it's a unit of all champions. They're kind of Swordmaster level White Lions, so weapon skill 6, initiative 5, leadership 9 for 18 points, so that's an elf stat line. They got hand weapons, Chracian blades, and heavy armor. They can have a standard command for 7 points per model. Magic standard up to 50. Your captain can have 50 points of magic items. And they have champions of Chrace, close order, elven reflexes, furious charge, lion cloak, stubborn, and veteran. And you can basically accept any challenges with any of them. So even the regular guys can, which makes it very hard to kill the front rank with challenges or to keep the front rank from not being challenged. But they can't issue. They can only accept. And then you can reroll your lookouts if you have a character unit. And it just says use the color pattern for them and just use standard white line miniatures, maybe zhuzh them up a little bit. Your army special rules is you can only take the following elven honors. You can have Shadowstalker, Chracian Hunter, or Pure of Heart, and then Hidden Trails, up to 1 unit of elven spearmen or archers per 1,000 points. Can have move through cover at 1 point. In addition, once per game, when you're rerolling a unit of ambushers to come on, you can add +1 or -1, either keep them off or move them on. And then finally, Warriors of Chrace, units of Elf Spearmen or Elf Archers for 10 points per unit can have Lion Cloaks. And then finally, Warriors of the Wilderness, once all of the terrain's deployed, the Chracian player can place a unit of difficult terrain up to 8 to 12 inches at its widest point, anywhere in the battlefield outside the opponent's deployment zone, and it can go in the middle of the table unless there's special stuff in there. They do get a couple of bespoke magic items. The Woodsman's Axe, which is 90 points. It's strength +3, -4 AP, magic attacks, monster slayer, requires 2 hands and strikes last, which is kind of neat. And then they also have the Gem of Courage. It's a once per game when taking a break test, roll an extra d6 and discard the highest roll for 15 points. So some neat stuff in that army. Obviously, they're led by the man, the legend, Triple H, which is to say, sorry, it's Corhill. And he's exactly as I kind of remember him. He's just a beef stick of an elf. He's got weapon skill 7, strength 4, will skill 5, initiative 6 and 4 attacks. He's got his hand weapon, Chael, which is his big axe, the Pelt of Corandus, and heavy armor, elf reflexes, furious charge, mighty constitution, move through cover, stubborn, and devour the ages. And he can buy the cool chariot now too. Mighty Constitution is, if he charges 3 or more inches, he gets +1 to his strength. In addition, he's immune to poison attacks. You got to roll them as normal. The Pelt of Corandus gives him a +1 save in melee and plus another 2 against non-magical shooting attacks and regen 5+. And then Chael is strength +2, AP -3, killing blow, and requires 2 hands. And you can reroll any natural hit rolls of 1. when you're attacking with them. So a neat army. They're kind of like the woodsmen are sort of like dwarf rangers. So it's almost like a dwarf ranger army if they were elves. And then we got the Seaguard Garrison. These are supposed to be like the expedition forces of the elves. And they got their own special character as well. 50% of your army can be spent on Seaguard Garrison commanders and Stormweavers, 0-1 Dragon Mage, Elf Noble, or High Elf Mage per 1,000 points. So now the captain is like literally that, he's a captain. But he gets the cool extra rules. So he gets the whatchamacallit, the fight and flee rule. So that's the ship's company. Where is he? Seaguard Garrison Commander. Here we go. He's an elf hero, but he's will skill 7 because he's supposed to be a shooter. Strength 4, 2 wounds, 90 points. And then he's got a warbow, hand weapon, and light armor to start off with. He's regular infantry. You can have a cav spear if he's mounted for 2 points. A warbow can be replaced with a longbow for 4 points. You can have a shield. You can have heavy armor for 3 points. And you can mount him on a skycutter, griffin, or great eagle, and have 75 points of magic items. He's an accomplished archer. What that means is, unless mounted on a skycutter, Seaguard Commander has the evasive fire and flee special rule, sort of like the Illyrian Reavers do. In addition, any unit of Seaguard joined by them also gets evasive and fire and flee. So normally the Reavers get that, but your actual units of foot guys will as well. And then he's got Naval Discipline, Strike First, and Valor of the Ages. And those are over here. And then the Stormweaver is the same as the one in the Chrace army, because they're wandering mages controlling the weather. 33% of your army must be spent on Lothern, Seaguard, and Ship's Company. And the Ship's Company are like a stripped-down version of the Seaguard, because the Seaguard are the do-everythings. The Ship Company are a detachment. And this is really neat. So you have your big, bulky units of actual like Lothern Seaguard. You can back them up with these guys. They are standard elves, but they can have a midshipman and a bosun, so 2 champions. The midshipman gets +1 ballistic skill. The bosun gets +1 attack. They can have thrusting spears and shields for free if they want to replace their warbows. And they come with hand weapons and warbows. You can upgrade one of the models to either a midshipman or a bosun. So however you decide them to be. So if you want them to have shields, then you give, or spears and shields, you give them the bosun, so they're better fighters. If you want them to be shooters, you give them the midshipman. They can have other commands, so standard bearer and musician for 5 points. The entire company can have light armor for 1 point, and a unit per 1,000 points can have open order replaced with skirmishers for free, and replace Valor of the Ages with veteran for 1 point. And they're an attachment, elf reflexes, evasive, fire and flee, and open order. The ship's company breasts are represented by elven archers or spearmen painted in the colors of the Lothern Seaguard. Your special, you also need a Shadow Warriors per 1,000 points. Your special is 50% on Skycutters, up to 2 Great Eagles per 1,000 points, up to 3 Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers per 1,000 points. Rare is going to be Illyrian Reavers, Flamespire, Frostheart Phoenixes for 1,000 points, and Merworms. And the Merworm is a relatively cheap killy piece. Dragon stats, so 6 across the board except for initiative, which is 3 and 4 attacks, 225 points. It's got lashing talons and a serpentine tail. So it has to make 1 attack with the tail and the other 3 with the lashing talons. The lashing talons are strength, but -1 AP and armor bane. And the tail is +2 strength, so it's going to be strength 8, -2 AP, and strikes last. It's got a briny breath. That's a breath weapon for strength 2 and -2 AP. Any enemy unit that takes 1 or more unsaved wounds with this weapon suffers -1 of their initiative until the next start of turn phase. And you can take 1 in a normal 0-1 in a normal High Elf's Ground Army, as long as you have a unit of Lothern Seaguard. It has Abyssal Cloak. The long range penalty you hit it is -2 instead of -1. And it's also got Close Order, Enfeebling Cold, Impact Hits D3, Large Target, Stomps Attacks D3+1, and Terror. Special rules for the Seaguard Garrison. They can only take the Shadow Stalker, Pure Heart, and Seaguard honors. From the Mists, after deployment, you can move 1 of your units before Vanguard goes off, and you can move them anywhere in your deployment zone. From the Stormclouds, up to 1 unit of Lothern Skycutters per 1,000 points in a Seaguard Army of Infantry can give ambushers for 10 points per model. And then Old World Rangers, up to 1 unit of Shadow Warriors with a unit strength of 10 or less in a Seaguard Army Infantry can have the Ambusher special rule for free. And then finally, Pride of the Fleet, up to 1 unit of Seaguard per 1,000 points in a Seaguard Army can have the Drilled special rule for free. And you get your special character, Ashaya Vess, and she's got a cool like defensive spear. She's weapon skill, skill 7, so like noble stats, strength 4, toughness 3, 3 wounds, initiative 7, 3 attacks, and leadership 9 for 170 points. Hand weapon, heavy armor, Mathlin's Ire, and then a warbow. She's got commanding voice, Ithamar weapons, naval discipline, rallying cry, strike first, precision strikes, and valor of the ages. She gets +3 to her command range. So if she's a general, it's going to be 15 inches. Precision strikes, any Sea Guard units she joins get their AP of their weapons up by 1, which is kind of cool for their spears and their bows. And then her weapon is strength +1, -2 AP, armor bane 1, and magic attacks. But any a single successful hit roll made by the attackers against her in melee have to be re-rolled. So like if you get a crit against her, it's kind of handy because you can force them to re-roll it. And then the army gets a couple of their own magic items. They get the Blade of Sea Gold, +1 strength, -1 AP, magic attacks, multiple wounds D3. And they also get a special talisman. It is not that one, not that one. There it is. Amulet of the Tempest. May only be, it's an enchanted item, sorry, actually. May only be taken by a model in the Sea Guard's garrison army. While you're within 9 of the bearer of this, you can't add your wizard level to casting rolls, so it's like a debuff to casting spells against them. Generic weapons, so all of the generic stuff can be used by any high elf army, and it'll add to the armies of the Forces of Fantasy. You get the Bow of the Seafarer. It's a bolt thrower, 50 points. It fights like a bolt thrower, strength 5, -3, cumbersome magic attacks, multiple wounds D3, and does through and through. And then a Star Lance, you have to be mounted on a monster, +3 strength, -4 magic attack, strike first, but you can only get it once when you charge. Magic armor, you get the Armor of the Stars. Your heavy armor, it's immune to killing blow. And then if you take a wound, you only take a single wound. The Golden Shield's 30 points. You have to reroll any natural rolls of 6 when you get attacked. The Circlet of Atrazar for 55 points. You get +1 wound, and if you're infantry, you also get +1 toughness, or cavalry, sorry. Sacred Incense, if you're shooting, you're -1 to hit for 35 points. And then Magic Banners, 80 points for +1 toughness to the whole unit. I mean, they're elves, but stack that on the Circle of Astragar, whoa. You're gonna have +2 toughness. You have a strength, toughness 5 elf. The Banner of Lothern, if you're using spears, half of a 3rd rank can fight. And then Banner of Balance, you can't reroll anything, but neither can your opponent. And then Banner of Confidence, and that's right, in melee. Banner of Confidence, you don't get -1 to hit when standing and shooting as a charge reaction. Other enchanted items, good old Ring of Fury, get to cast Hammerhand at power level 2 for 25 points. And the Gem of Courage, that's a Chrace one we already talked about. Vortex Shard, single use, you don't make a dispel roll if you're dispelling. It's automatically dispelled and all remains in play spells, including friendly ones, go away. The Trickster's Pendant. When attempting a wizardly dispel for 40 points, if you do so, roll an extra d6 and discard the lowest. If it's dispelled, you can attempt to cast, they can't cast any more spells that phase, but if you roll a double 1, you're automatically outclassed in art because it's a trickstery. And for 15 points, the Staff of Solidity. Once per game, the bearer, if they're required to roll on the miscast table, they can just choose not to because it grounds it. It's like the old copper staff for the dwarves or the orcs. And that's it. High Elf Realms. They have cool, neat little armies. I have a pile of actually army, what is it called? Island of Blood minis kicking around still. And with these Reavers and that new special character, it'd be fun to make a little high elf army. They paint up quick and they're actually, because they're so spendy point-wise, they're actually a fairly quick fantasy army to make. So I might make 1,000 points of them and play some games with this new stuff that I have laying around. And yeah, do like maybe a slow grow for Old World. So there it is. Big thanks for watching. Big thanks for Workshop sending this along so that we could check it out. And we're back with more reviews today. So I'm Ash.